Libertarianism is a philosophical viewpoint that holds aggression is wrong in principle. It is not an entire philosophical system, but rather one part of it law, the area of ethics that answers the question who can use what resources. This is an important question with two main systems of thought positive law and natural law. Positive law is far more common and is a viewpoint that the law is posited, i.e., that it rests on some authority to say what the law is. Law is not a part of reality we should follow, but rather a whim of some man or group of men, such as a king or a congress. When a legal positivist says, that's illegal, they mean that some statute forbids it. Instead, a natural law theorist is a person who believes that the law is independent of any specific person or person's beliefs, rather exists whether or not people choose to recognize it. The law is either intrinsic or objective, but is not subject to the whims of anybody at base. Libertarianism is the natural law view that the law is what it is and you choose to recognize it, best understood as an objective set of standards for how you should deal with conflicts. Law, as said earlier, is supposed to set guidelines for who can use what object. For instance, the legal positivist says that percentage of your money should go to the government. The tax statute says so. Libertarians' answer to this question is not an arbitrary list of statutes, but rather one principle, the non-aggression principle, or the NAP. Aggression is always wrong, libertarian believes. Aggression is defined as an initiation of a conflict. A conflict is a situation in which one person's actions contradicts the ability of another person to perform their actions. Think of Robinson Crusoe on an island. He is using a stick to hunt fish, but then Friday comes along and takes his stick to go stoke his fire. These two actions are exclusive, with each use precluding the use of another. Who should win this conflict? According to the libertarian, Crusoe should maintain the use of the stick, because his use of the stick didn't initiate the conflict, because when he grabbed it off a tree, no one else was making prior use of it. When Friday did, obviously Crusoe was. Friday initiated the conflict, so he's the aggressor, or wrong, as the libertarian holds aggression as always wrong. Opposing this view, we have that of the legal positivist. When pushed to the question of what they should do, they say whatever the local chief said, or whatever the majority of people on the island believe, or any other flavor the positive holds to. Instead of holding an arbitrary person or group of people to be the dictator of right or wrong in any case, the libertarian can consistently apply a principle to any situation in which a conflict might arise. What libertarianism is not. Libertarianism is not an entire philosophical system. It does not say what one should do in any case, but rather what one should do it in any case involving a conflict. Don't start it. Libertarianism is not pacifist. To be libertarian is not to reject the use of violence categorically, but rather to reject aggression, which consists of certain kinds of violence and fraud. Self-defense is not only permissible, but implied by the non-aggression principle. Why not call it the non-violence principle if that was the essential mark of a libertarian? Libertarianism is not a political position, but rather an ethical position. Any political or cultural movement that bears the same name relies on the philosophical priors of its namesake, whether its bearers recognize it or not. The rejection of politics as evil in principle is implied by libertarianism, but is not the only position a libertarian holds to. Libertarianism, properly construed, governs all actors, including that of the non-state. That being said, any libertarian that does make any exception, be it for the government in the case of the so-called minarchist, or any other favored group or individual, is not a libertarian at all. If you hold to the view that aggression is usually wrong, but not always, then congrats, you are a normal person. Certainly not a person of principle, but a pragmatist leeching onto a name you don't deserve. Exception for libertarians in blooming, who find themselves in the 6-month gestation period to become an anarchist, who need time to think on the issue, as we are not Aquinas' angels, automatically knowing the truth without the need for induction and reasoning. What libertarianism is. Libertarianism is a system of law, built on the non-aggression principle, which helps any person who holds it to navigate the issue of conflictable resources by always choosing to stay with the ideal of peace rather than to initiate a conflict. If you would like to understand this entire system, I highly recommend Liquid Zulu's course in the matter, which will be linked in the description.